The grand hall shimmered under 1,000 crystal chandeliers, their light casting a kaleidoscope of glimmer across polished marble floors. The music swelled, a waltz both elegant and suffocating in its perfection. And yet, for one young woman standing near the edges of the crowd, it all felt like a cage. She adjusted the simple ribbon at her waist, feeling every whispered laugh as though it had pierced her skin. Why am I even here? Her chest tightened, heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and defiance. Guests in opulent gowns floated past, their silks brushing like waves around her plain, muted dress. Eyes turned, some curious, most mocking. "Did you see her?" One lady hissed behind a fan. "She looks like a pauper among princesses. She'll never fit in." Another sneered, smirking as she sipped her champagne. Her cheeks flamed, but she held her head high. The humiliation felt familiar, yet unbearably sharp tonight. Every step she took echoed in the hall, a solitary drumbeat against the clamor of polite society. From the shadowed corner of the ballroom, a tall figure watched. His eyes were dark, unreadable, yet fixed on her as if he could see through her very soul. He moved only once, shifting his stance with the silent grace of a predator. She felt the gaze even without meeting it, a strange warmth stirring inside her chest. Her thoughts darted, half frightened, half intrigued. Who is he? The guests continued their gossip, oblivious to the silent drama unfolding on the outskirts of their perfection. A sudden ripple of laughter broke through her thoughts. A man leaned toward her, voice dripping with condescension. "You really shouldn't have come tonight," he said, eyes darting to the alpha who observed from afar. "You'll embarrass yourself." She clenched her fists at her sides, refusing to answer. Words would fail her anyway. The sting of mockery was too sharp to mask. Her pulse thundered as she tried to shrink from the world, but it seemed the world had already found her. The music shifted, a waltz slower, more intimate. Guests paired off effortlessly, while she remained a solitary figure at the edge of the room. And yet, that shadowed figure never moved, never blinked. His gaze followed her, patient, calculating almost. Protective, a sudden chill ran through her, a premonition that the night held more than embarrassment, that someone, or something, was waiting for her unseen by all but her. And then, as the clock struck the hour, a hush fell over the hall. Eyes turned, whispers faded, and she felt it. A presence watching, assessing, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. Her chest tightened, and for the first time, she wondered if tonight would be remembered for more than her humiliation. Someone knows, cliffhanger, a mysterious figure in the shadows watches her with intent, his motives unknown. Her chest still burned from the sting of whispered laughter, but the night had no mercy. The grand hall swirled with opulence and idle chatter, and every glance felt like a spotlight, illuminating her perceived flaws. She edged toward a quiet alcove near the towering windows, where the moonlight spilled in silver beams across the polished floor. The ballroom felt endless, each corner filled with eyes that judged and whispered. She pressed her fingers against her lips, trying to still the rapid beat of her heart. But then she heard it, a conversation not meant for her ears. "They say she's of no real significance, yet her bloodline carries power older than the Alpha himself." A hushed male voice murmured, "Impossible." A woman replied, her tone laced with doubt and fear. The Luna, could she truly be? Her pulse stuttered. The Luna, the name was like fire, igniting something deep inside her that she couldn't yet understand. Her fingers tightened around the fabric of her dress as she pressed closer, desperate to catch more. "They whisper she's unaware of her true nature, if she awakens fully." The first voice trailed off, heavy with unspoken warnings. She stepped back, heart hammering. Her mind spun with questions she had long buried. Dreams, flashes of moonlit forests, shadows that moved without reason, they all came rushing back. Could it be true? Could the ridicule, the isolation, the mocking laughter, was it all tied to something far greater than mere society games? She felt a shiver crawl up her spine as she realized someone in the hall had already noticed her eavesdropping. A faint shadow detached itself from the corner and melted back into the crowd. Her stomach twisted with equal parts fear and fascination. Trying to steady herself, she whispered to no one, "Luna, who am I?" The name repeated in her mind, like a heartbeat syncing with the moon's own rhythm. It carried promise, mystery, and a danger she could not yet define. The whispers faded, but their weight lingered, pressing against her thoughts like the quiet threat of a storm. From across the hall, the shadowed figure of the Alpha watched still. This time, his gaze softened, almost as if he sensed the tremor within her soul, the stirring of a power long dormant. She drew a deep breath, trying to regain composure. The whispers had planted a seed, one that would not be silenced, one that would demand awakening, and in that moment, beneath the chandeliers and the judging eyes, she realized she could no longer remain invisible. I am more than they see. I will be. Cliffhanger. She glimpses the word Luna, and feels the stirrings of her hidden legacy, a secret tied to power she does not yet understand. The moon had climbed high over the pack house by the time she finally slipped away, her heart still racing from the whispers and glances that haunted her at the ball. She shut the door to her chamber behind her, the faint click echoing like a heartbeat in the silent room. Alone, she let herself sink against the wall, knees drawn up, trying to catch her breath, and then it came. A sudden, inexplicable surge. Her senses sharpened, each sound and scent around her amplified to an almost unbearable clarity. The rustle of fabric, the distant creak of the stairs, even the faint beat of her own pulse felt like thunder. Her fingers trembled as she looked down. A pale glow had appeared along her wrist, tracing a pattern she had never seen before, a delicate, intricate mark that seemed to pulse with life. She gasped, half in fear, half in awe. What is this? She whispered to herself. Memories she had long thought were dreams flooded back. Flashes of running through moonlit forests, shadows that moved with a mind of their own, a wolf-shaped silhouette watching over her from the trees. Each memory tugged at something deep, primal, awakening a part of her she had not dared to acknowledge. A sudden knock at her door made her start. "Are you all right?" a soft voice called. It was one of the younger pack members, curious and concerned, but she waved him off, not ready to reveal the tremor inside her. She sank to the floor, tracing the glowing pattern with her finger. Her heartbeat matched the pulse of the mark, a rhythm that whispered of destiny, of power long hidden, waiting for the right moment to surface. She realized, with a mix of wonder and fear, that the humiliation she had felt at the ball was only the surface. Beneath it lay a legacy she could not yet control. The room seemed to hum around her, the air thick with electricity. Her vision sharpened unnaturally. She could see every detail of the room with startling clarity, the tiniest dust motes floating in silver beams of moonlight. Her senses were no longer human. They were something more, something wild. Her chest heaved as a strange instinct rose within her, a pull toward the forest outside, toward the moon's light. It was as if the earth itself whispered her name. She pressed her hands over her mouth to stifle a gasp, afraid of the noise she might make, afraid of what she might become. The glow on her wrist flared suddenly, and she felt it, power raw and ancient, coursing through her veins like wildfire. Her body tingled, stretched, and her heart pounded in sync with something far larger than herself. She knew, with a clarity that left her breathless, that she could no longer remain who she had been. The ridicule, the whispers, the scorn, they were trivial compared to what had awakened within her. And then, a soft, almost imperceptible growl slipped from her throat, foreign yet familiar. Her eyes widened in shock. This was no dream. This was real. I am more than they know. I am more than they see. And soon they will witness the truth. Cliffhanger. A glowing mark appears on her wrist, signaling the awakening of her Luna power and hinting at a destiny she cannot yet fully control. The next evening, the ballroom felt smaller, almost suffocating, as if the walls themselves were closing in. She tried to blend into the crowd, letting her eyes drift toward the floor, but no amount of invisibility could hide the pull she felt, or the pull she could not yet name. From across the hall he emerged, the tall, dark figure who had haunted the edges of her thoughts since the ball now moved with deliberate purpose. His presence commanded attention, yet it was not the crowd that captured her gaze. It was him, the Alpha. Every stride he took was precise, measured, yet effortless, His eyes, dark and unreadable, locked onto hers, and for a moment the chatter and laughter around them fell away. "You've returned," he said, his voice low, smooth, carrying an edge of curiosity and something more. Unspoken. I thought it best to leave quietly," she replied, though her voice sounded smaller than she intended. He smirked faintly, though it did not reach the depths of his eyes. "There's nothing quiet about you, not anymore. I can feel it. Something stirring, something you don't understand yet." Her heart skipped a beat. She could not deny the pull she felt, magnetic and dangerous, toward him. And yet, fear coiled like a serpent around her ribs. Does he know? Does he see everything? Whispers rippled through the guests. Some glanced toward them with barely concealed curiosity, others with jealousy, sensing the unspoken tension. She felt the weight of their stares, their judgments, but it was nothing compared to the unrelenting focus of the Alpha. "You are aware of the rumors, I assume," he continued, stepping closer, but never crossing the invisible line of propriety. "Bloodline whispers. Luna, do they frighten you?" She swallowed hard, forcing her composure. "They confuse me," she admitted softly. "I don't know what I am, or what I'm supposed to be." His gaze softened, but only slightly, as if recognizing the vulnerability she tried to hide. "Soon you will understand, and when you do, your life will never be the same." The words sent a shiver down her spine, equal parts promise and warning. She wanted to retreat, yet something within her, a spark she hadn't known existed, wanted to lean in, to explore the forbidden magnetic pull between them. Around them the room spun with gossip, laughter, and champagne clinks, but she felt insulated, almost invisible, under the weight of his watchful eyes. It was intoxicating, terrifying, and utterly irresistible. And then, just as she was about to speak, he tilted his head slightly, a single eyebrow raised. His voice dropped to a murmur meant for her alone. "I know who you truly are." Cliffhanger, the Alpha hints at knowing her true identity, leaving her stunned and uncertain whether to fear or trust him. The house finally fell into silence, the hum of the day's gossip and laughter replaced by the soft whispers of the wind outside. She moved quietly through the halls, her fingers brushing the polished banister, every step measured, careful not to alert anyone. The moon hung high in the sky, spilling silver light through the tall windows, and she felt an irresistible pull toward it. She slipped out the back door, the cool night air a balm against the tension coiling in her chest. The forest beyond the pack grounds stretched like a living cathedral, shadows dancing across the trunks and undergrowth. Her breath came in shallow gasps as the scent of pine, earth, and something wilder, something familiar, filled her senses. It started subtly at first, a tingling in her fingertips, a heightened awareness of the night around her. She could hear every rustle, every snapping twig, every whisper of movement that escaped the human ear. Her heartbeat thundered in her chest, synchronized with the pulse of the moon above, and then it happened. A low hum of power surged through her, a vibration that radiated from deep within her bones. She froze, fear and exhilaration entwined, as her hands began to glow faintly in the moonlight. Her reflection in a puddle at her feet shimmered, not quite human. Shadows of fur along her jawline, eyes brighter than normal, sharp with awareness. I'm transforming, she realized, her voice barely more than a whisper. Her knees buckled slightly as instinct took over, grounding her in the wild rhythm pulsing through her veins. From the darkness, a sound made her heart seize, a soft, deliberate step. She whirled, eyes wide, only to catch the shadow of a figure watching from the tree line. A rival pack member, someone she had seen lurking at gatherings, a smile curling cruelly at the corner of his lips. "Fascinating," he murmured, stepping closer. "So this is the great secret they whisper about, the Luna awakens." Panic flared, but it was tempered by something else, something raw and thrilling. She lifted her chin, fury igniting in her chest. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice firmer than she expected, though it carried an edge of uncertainty. He laughed softly, amusement clear in his tone. "Oh, I wouldn't dream of leaving. Not until the world knows exactly what you are, and what you could become. Her body tingled with power, awareness, and control she didn't fully understand. Each breath, each heartbeat, connected her more deeply to the moon, to the wild, to herself. She felt the first threads of destiny wrapping around her, binding her in ways both terrifying and beautiful. And yet, a seed of dread planted itself in her mind. If he could see her now, others would surely see too. Mockery and fear waiting just beyond the trees, waiting to strike. She inhaled deeply, the silver light of the moon casting her shadow long across the forest floor. The night had changed everything. Her secret, once hidden, was now stirring, alive, impossible to ignore. I will not be afraid. I will not hide, but I must be careful. The rival's eyes gleamed in the darkness, reflecting a dangerous understanding. And he will not stop until the world knows my truth. Cliffhanger, the rival pack member observes her first transformation, plotting to exploit her newfound power at the next public gathering. The forest glowed silver beneath the full moon, every leaf and shadow sharply outlined as if the world itself had paused to watch them. She moved carefully along the narrow path, still tasting the exhilaration of her first transformation, when a familiar presence made the air thrum with tension. He stepped out from behind a cluster of oak trees, the Alpha. His dark eyes seemed to pierce right through her, seeing not only the woman she was, but the Luna stirring within. The night air was heavy with unspoken words, and for the first time, she felt that magnetic pull, the forbidden attraction that both terrified and enthralled her. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said softly, voice low enough for only her to hear, yet carrying the weight of command. "I could say the same to you," she replied, chest tight, words trembling with something between defiance and desire, and yet, here you are. He studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, stepping closer, he lowered his voice further. "I've felt it since the first night, the power beneath your skin, and now, after what I saw, it's undeniable, you are special, more than anyone realizes." Her pulse quickened, a mix of fear and longing curling inside her. The forest seemed to hold its breath. "I don't know what I am," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm learning, but I don't know how to control it, or if I even can." His gaze softened, yet a warning lingered there. "That power is dangerous, yes, but you are stronger than you believe. You are the Luna, and being the Luna comes with responsibilities. Responsibilities you may not be ready to accept." Her stomach twisted at the weight of his words, the unspoken truth behind them. And yet, beneath that caution, she sensed the pull, the recognition of a bond that neither of them could deny. "I don't understand," she whispered, inching closer despite herself. "Why me? Why now?" "Because the moon has chosen you," he murmured, his hand brushing the back of her fingers, not touching fully, yet sending sparks up her arm. "And because I can't look away, not from you, not when I feel what I feel, not when I sense that connection that binds us, whether we want it or not." Her breath caught. The uncharted intimacy of the moment made her tremble, both terrified and exhilarated, forbidden, dangerous, intoxicating. Their bond was a tether neither could ignore. She swallowed hard, finally meeting his gaze fully, and for the first time she allowed herself to admit it. Even if only in her own mind, "I feel it too." But the night was not theirs alone. Somewhere in the distance, a shadow shifted among the trees, unseen by the Alpha. A rival, watching, waiting, already plotting to exploit the fragile connection forming between them. The pull of the moon, the forest, and the Alpha's presence pressed against her chest. For a heartbeat, nothing else existed. Can love and destiny truly coexist with danger? Cliffhanger. She questions if love and destiny can exist amid danger, while a hidden rival observes, plotting to exploit the growing bond. The day of the pack's ceremonial gathering arrived with a crisp chill in the air, the kind that carried the scent of pine and impending tension. The hall buzzed with whispers, half curiosity, half malice, and all eyes were fixed on her. She could feel it, the weight of judgment, the electric pulse of expectation that made her chest tighten. She had hoped that the night in the forest, the moonlight lessons with the alpha, would leave her feeling stronger, more prepared. Instead, nerves coiled through her like living things, twisting with each sidelong glance and whispered comment. From the shadows near the balcony, she sensed him, the rival pack member who had watched her transformation in secret. His smirk was small but potent, calculated to unravel her composure. Her stomach clenched. He's planning something. I can feel it. The ceremony began with solemn chants and the ceremonial lighting of the moonstone lanterns. She stood, composed, but each step felt heavier than the last. Her body hummed with power beneath the surface, a constant reminder of the Luna awakening within her, and then it happened. A sudden eruption of chaos. The rival had struck. A carefully placed trap, subtle yet effective, sent a cascade of moonstone lanterns tumbling, light shattering across the floor. Gasps echoed through the hall. In the confusion, her body reacted instinctively, a partial transformation overtaking her form. Silvery fur rippled along her arms, eyes gleaming with feral light. Shock and fear rippled through the attendees. Whispers became shouts. The humiliation she had endured at the ball now returned magnified 1,000-fold. "Control yourself," the alpha barked, his presence suddenly at her side, protective and commanding. His hands hovered near hers as if ready to tether her power to steady the storm within her. Her gaze locked with his, and for a moment the world narrowed to him alone. She drew a deep, trembling breath, forcing her instincts into submission. Slowly the fur receded, her eyes returning to their human glow, but the damage was done. Allies and enemies alike had seen, judged, and whispered. The rival's eyes gleamed triumphantly from the shadows. "You're reckless," one elder admonished, though fear lingered beneath the rebuke. "Do you understand the danger you've brought upon yourself? And the pack?" "Yes." She whispered, voice barely audible, but her mind screamed, "I will not be weak. I will not be hidden. I am the Luna." The alpha's gaze softened, though the tension in his jaw remained. "They see your power," he said quietly, "but there is more they do not understand, and there are those who would use it against you." Her stomach twisted as realization dawned. The rival had not merely sought humiliation. He had uncovered something dangerous. Something tied to her bloodline. A murmur rippled through the hall, a name uttered in fear. Her lineage carried a curse long thought dormant, a secret intertwined with the Luna's awakening. Her mind raced. Every lesson in the moonlit forest, every whispered word, every glance from the alpha, all led to this moment. And yet, danger was not behind her. It was now looming, waiting for the slightest misstep. Her pulse thundered as the alpha's hand briefly brushed hers. "Stay close to me," he murmured, urgency underlying the warmth. "Tonight is only the beginning." Cliffhanger. A secret curse tied to her lineage is revealed, and the rival's sabotage shows the enemy she must face is closer, and deadlier than she imagined. The sun had barely risen over the forest when she arrived at the Pack Council grounds, her steps heavy with anticipation and unease. The ceremonial arena stretched before her, carved into the hillside and surrounded by towering oaks whose leaves whispered with the morning breeze. Today was not a celebration. It was a trial, a test designed to determine her strength, her control, and her worth as the Luna. The Alpha stood at the center, his dark eyes scanning her as she approached. His presence radiated authority, yet beneath it lay a protective intensity she had come to both crave and fear. He motioned for her to step forward. "You know why you're here," he said, his voice firm, leaving no room for hesitation. "This trial is not a punishment. It is a proving. For your power to serve the Pack, you must first master it, and for your destiny, you must embrace it fully." Her chest tightened, a mixture of fear and excitement coiling through her. She nodded, trying to steady herself. The rival Pack member lingered at the edges, smirking, his eyes glittering with malicious anticipation. "He wants me to fail," she realized, clenching her fists. "I won't give him that satisfaction." The trial began with simple tests: agility, reflex, sensory acuity. Each task pushed her body to its limits, forcing her to rely on instincts she barely understood. The forest seemed to bend around her, every shadow, every whisper, every scent heightened by the latent power pulsing through her veins. And then came the true challenge, a simulated combat scenario. designed to test both skill and strategy. She faced multiple opponents, wolves, pack members, each strike demanding precision, control, and timing. She felt the thrill of her power surge, each movement fluid, graceful, yet deadly. Her mind, sharpened by fear and determination, guided her, while instinct and lunar energy strengthened her every action. She could feel the alpha watching, his gaze a tether that kept her grounded, focused. "You are stronger than I anticipated," he said, stepping forward as she finished the final maneuver, her body heaving with exertion. "But this trial is not over. True strength lies not just in power, it lies in control, in wisdom, in the choices you make under pressure." Before she could respond, a sudden shift in the shadows caught her attention. The rival had moved, attempting to disrupt the challenge with subtle sabotage. She froze for a heartbeat, instincts screaming. In that split second, the alpha was beside her, eyes blazing, hand brushing hers, not just guidance, but connection, partnership, trust. Together, they faced the challenge, weaving through the rival's attempts, their movements synchronized as if they shared a single mind. Power and strategy merged with trust, a forbidden bond strengthened in the crucible of the trial. By the time the last opponent had fallen, her body quivered with exhaustion, yet she stood taller, stronger, transformed. She realized she was no longer merely the girl who had been mocked at the ball. She was emerging as the Luna, powerful, awakened, and unstoppable. But the shadows still lingered. The rival's eyes burned with resentment and determination, a reminder that the danger had not ended. This trial had proven her strength, but it had also revealed the stakes, and then she felt it, a prickle of instinct, a warning of something far more immediate, far more dangerous than she had anticipated. Tonight, the real test begins. Cliffhanger. She senses a life, threatening danger approaching, foreshadowing the climactic confrontation in the next chapter. Night had fallen, draping the forest in a silken cloak of shadows. The ceremonial arena lay empty, save for the soft glow of the moon overhead. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the earth beneath her feet, anticipation and fear coiling together as she faced the rival pack, whose eyes gleamed with calculated malice. The rival stepped forward, voice dripping with scorn. "So this is the famous Luna. Let's see if she lives up to the whispers." Her fingers tingled with latent power, the air around her humming with energy she had never fully wielded, until now. With a deep breath, she closed her eyes, centering herself, drawing every ounce of strength, control, and instinct into one focused point. When she opened them, they shone with a silvery light, reflecting the moon's glow like liquid metal. Her body trembled, her muscles coiling with energy, fur rippling along her limbs, ears sharpening, senses stretching beyond human comprehension. She was no longer merely the girl who had been mocked at the ball. She was the Luna, fully awakened, powerful, undeniable. The rival lunged, underestimating her speed. In a fluid, terrifyingly graceful motion, she moved, dodging with the precision of a predator and striking with authority that sent him staggering backward. Every movement was instinct, power, and will combined. The forest itself seemed to respond to her presence, shadows bending, the wind swirling in rhythm with her energy. The alpha appeared at her side, his presence steady, unwavering. He did not command, he did not interfere. Instead, he stood as a tether, a silent anchor as her power surged. Together, they faced the rival pack, their unspoken bond a force that radiated outward, unstoppable and fierce. "You belong to no one but yourself," the alpha murmured, voice low, carrying both warning and admiration. "And yet, I see you fully. Luna, this is who you are." Her heart leapt, not from fear, but from something deeper, a recognition, a confirmation. "I am the Luna. I am the power they whispered about. I am more than they ever believed." The rival snarled, lunging once more, but she met him head on, movement precise, instinctive, lethal. Within moments, it was over. The rival lay subdued, humiliated, powerless in the face of her awakening. Silence settled over the forest. The alpha stepped closer, gaze unwavering, eyes burning with emotion. "You are magnificent. he said softly, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. I have seen the Luna in legend, and now I see her in you, in all of you. Her breath caught as the magnitude of the moment sank in. This was more than victory. This was acknowledgement, acceptance, the culmination of every hidden power, every whispered fear, every secret she had ever held. And then the Alpha's hand reached for hers gently, deliberately. You are mine. As I am yours, he murmured, the words both possessive and tender, binding them in a destiny that neither could deny. Her chest swelled with emotion, tears of relief and triumph threatening to fall. She had been mocked, scorned, underestimated, but now nothing could diminish her. She was seen, she was powerful, she was the true Luna. The forest, the moon, the shadows, they all bore witness to her transformation. And as the Alpha drew her close, she realized something profound. Strength was not only in power, but in connection, in trust, and in love that had waited patiently for her to embrace it. I am the Luna, I am unstoppable, I am home. Cliffhanger, the rival is defeated, her full power revealed, and the Alpha finally acknowledges her as his destiny. Bound mate, leaving the door open for the final emotional resolution. The forest lay quiet, bathed in the silver glow of the full moon. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, carrying the scent of pine and earth, and the world seemed to exhale after the chaos of the past nights. She stood at the edge of the clearing, the Alpha beside her, their hands intertwined, hearts beating in quiet harmony. For the first time, she felt the weight of the Luna's mantle settle comfortably upon her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a gift. The power that had once been raw and terrifying now hummed within her, steady, balanced, and alive. She drew a deep breath, letting the night fill her senses, and felt a peace she had never known. The Alpha's gaze lingered on her, dark and intense, yet soft with reverence. You've come so far, he murmured, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face, not just in power, but in courage, in heart, in soul. She smiled, the first true smile since the ball, free from fear or doubt. I couldn't have done it without you, she said, voice steady, yet filled with warmth. You believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. He stepped closer, drawing her into the circle of moonlight. And now, he said, voice low, commanding yet tender, you are no longer hidden. You are seen, you are known, you are mine, as I am yours. The words settled over her like the softest of blankets, filling every hollow of her heart with completeness. She felt the pull of their destiny, the bond of mate and Luna, and a certainty that no rival, no curse, no shadow could ever touch them again. Around them, the pack emerged quietly from the trees, their expressions softened with awe and respect. The whispers of fear and doubt had been replaced by acknowledgement and acceptance. She was the Luna, the true Luna, and they bowed, not in fear, but in reverence. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles, a silent promise of protection, of love, of shared destiny. Together, he said, we will face everything. Together, we are stronger than any threat. Together, we are home. The moonlight glimmered on her eyes as she leaned into him, letting herself feel the fullness of her journey. No longer mocked, no longer humiliated, no longer uncertain. She was whole, powerful, and loved. And as the night deepened, the stars witnessed the sealing of fate, the union of Luna and Alpha, and the promise of adventures yet to come. The forest was alive, the moon shining bright, and for the first time, she felt completely seen, completely safe, and completely loved. This is only the beginning, but for tonight, I am home.